The Arkansas State Red Wolves are rolling. It's a Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. It is game week, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. All right, big day on Saturday. Turns out this week, all the Sunbelt teams play on Wednesday, and then we get the MAC games all at the MAC on Saturday. So no Wednesday, Thursday matchups. So that keeps it organized for me. And as you guys know, it's all about me. South Alabama does snap their losing streak, and the Thundering Herd do bounce back Troy with a dominating victory over ULM. So we will get to all of the action that happened on Saturday. But let's start off with the best team in the Sunbelt, and they are the Arkansas State Red Wolves. A relatively easy 85-74 victory over Texas State. Statistically, very impressive. 57% shooting, 61.5%, so 62% from three. They held Texas State to 44% shooting, although they also shot 44 from three. And so I'm one of those guys that doesn't believe, and you hear this a lot from coaches, if we just take care of our business, we'll be fine, right? And you also hear we haven't played a complete game yet. We haven't played a full 40 minutes, or in football, it's a complete 60 minutes. Well, I think that's very difficult to do when the other team is trying to do the same thing, right? It's a lot easier to say in golf, I haven't played a complete round, right? I haven't been able to keep it in the fairway, or I haven't made good approach shots, right? And you can't necessarily shoot a 59, but if you keep it in the fairway, make good approach shots, I can shoot, not me, but the guys on tour, right? I can shoot a 63 or a 64, maybe 62, something along those lines, right? Or if you're spraying it all around, you can't play a good round. Okay. Well, everyone's coming for Arkansas State. They get jacked up. And it's really impressive that Arkansas State was down 10, a little bit less than halfway through the first half, and yet they ended up by 6 at halftime. And although some of the usual suspects in this ball game kind of led the way, Kobe Julian's three was starting to fall. Some of the normal guys kind of took a step back, and I kind of like that. Let some other guys shine because they maybe had the mismatches. I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I apologize. But just based on the stats, Terran Todd usually has a big offensive ball game. Joseph Pinion usually is bombs away from three. Joseph Pinion averages 6 threes a ball game, attempting more than that, actually, 6.2. He only took 3. All right. Izaiyah Nelson, goodness gracious. Was he 10 for 10 from the floor? 10 for 10 from the floor. All right. And so Pinion is like, I don't need to shoot threes, although he was 2 for 3 from 3. Izaiyah Nelson is doing the job, right? Kobe Julian had some threes falling, 3 for 5. He's been struggling this year. Terrence Ford had it going, 6 for 12. Terran Todd was 2 for 6, only played 15 minutes. So hopefully he's okay. That's not like that. Darian Ford, 29 minutes, only 8 points, but sort of directed the offense out there. But Izaiyah Nelson played 35 minutes, Kobe Julian 36 minutes, Terrence Ford played 38 minutes, and Pinion played 33 minutes. That's a little bit odd in a ball game that I'm not sure was it that close in the second half. Let me see, because it was a 6-point game to begin with, and it's kind of 8, and it gets to double digits halfway through, 11, and it gets down to 7, 8, it gets to 12 with 4 minutes to go, it gets to 15. These guys are playing a lot of minutes. So Interesting that they played all those minutes, although it was kind of double digits late in the ball game. Still really impressive for Arkansas State, sort of putting it together. And again, it's a little bit different for basketball than it is for baseball. And especially for basketball, when you only need to win 2 ball games in the tournament, compared to baseball, where you need to win a few more, especially if you lose one. You want to have more ammunition and the opportunity to get to, if you're a Sun Belt team trying to get to, the Super Regional, and certainly once you get to the Super Regional, you have thoughts of getting to Omaha, right? It's not out of the realm of possibility because everybody's got a Friday night pitcher. And so if your guy throws goose eggs, you can get there. And so it's a little bit different, but you still want these guys to have their legs underneath them and not play all those many minutes, all right? Although it is only 2 games a week, right? And so they should be rested, and certainly they will be rested at the end of the season, because if Arkansas State is the number 1 or number 2 seed, which it looks like they will be, they will have the better part of a week off or more before they play. Now, we'll see if that comes back to bite them, because the teams that they will be playing will either have at least 1 game under their belt or could have a handful of games, depending if that 3 or 4 seed gets the win or loses. We'll see how that happens. Okay, quickly, again, Nelson led the way, 23 points. Terrence Ford had 20. Kobe Julian had 19. Texas State actually had 4 guys in double figures. Tylen Pope had 17. Dylan Dawson had 15. Caden Combs had 12. And Christian Turner had 10. Arkansas State leads the conference 9-2. Texas State falls to 5-6. And so Arkansas State, quickly, let me see who they get. They are at Marshall? Did I see that? They're at Marshall. That's on ESPNU. That is an enormous ball game. They are at Marshall. That's big. That is huge, because it's not only because I don't think, even if Arkansas State loses it, they'll still be in the mix for a 1 or 2 seed. But Marshall is 7-4, and if they lose that ball game, they will drop to 7-5 compared to moving up to 8-4. 7-5 drops them way down. We'll go over the standings later, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4 teams tied for 7-4. That's a huge ball game, much bigger for Marshall than it is for Arkansas State, mostly also because it's in Huntington. So huge ball game on Wednesday, nationally televised on ESPNU. And of course, it's late at night, right? Yeah, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Eastern. Well, can't watch ball. At least not at the time. We'll have to get up in the morning and watch how that one ends. All right, let's take a timeout. South Alabama has their losing streak snapped. They did not look particularly good, but it's a win and move on for South Alabama as they take down the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. All right, we will do that after I tell you about TurboTax. This is a message from your sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, No worries. Now, this is taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax, live full service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. Your teams every day. South Alabama, I'm not sure thrilling is the right word. Workmanlike maybe. At 62-58 win over the Raging Cajuns, down 31-18. At half, they go to overtime and win this ball game. Really good job in the second half to clamp down defensively. I think they do a better job when Barry Dunning Jr. a little bit longer at the top of the zone. And offensively, they came alive in the second half as well. Miles Corey had 17. Barry Dunning led the way with 18. Ormiston off of the bench. He's not shy, I'll tell you that. He does not need to break out in a sweat to shoot the ball. He made 6 out of 9 shots. He will shoot the ball from long as well, 1 out of 2 from 3. He had 13 points coming off the bench. The problem with South Alabama right now is they still give up a bunch of threes. The Cajuns, though, they took a lot of threes. They shot 37 threes. So obviously, South Alabama, we talked about earlier this season, was pointed out, they allow the most threes in the country. And so eventually you're going to give up some. The problem is they've given up a bunch and they have not made any adjustments. I think they've given up 43s in the last 4 ball games. Only this is the win. They lost to Troy and they've lost to ULM twice. And in this one, you give up 11 threes and you miss 11 free throws. That is not a recipe for a victory. I'm all about win and move on. You guys know that. So especially in the Sun Belt, there's no rankings. There's no, are we moving up in the rankings or are we worried about seeding in terms of NCAA tournament? Don't have to worry about that in the Sun Belt. So it doesn't matter how you look, how you win. But there really is nothing to build on this victory because they still have some of the same issues. Defensively, they're basically the same as they've been. It's not like anybody's scoring 70 points, but they're giving up too many. They're giving up too many threes, and offensively, they are just flat out struggling. They shot much better in the second half, but I think they were 1 of 14 in the first half from threes, and then they were 3 of 10 in the second half. So a little bit better, but I think they hit 2 threes in a row that got them back in the ball game. I will say, to be fair, so when they beat Troy in that 1 point come from ahead victory, and I say they got away with one against Troy, well, I think the Cajuns got away with one. And now I think I can pronounce his name because it is pronounced the way it looks. Muta'akil was being boxed out as 58-56 South Alabama with a minute left. And Garnett on the left wing, right in front of the Cajuns bench, shoots a 3, a little bit deep, misses everything, right at the end of the shot clock. And Ormiston is boxing out the Cajuns' leading scorer, Tua Akil. And I missed a vowel in there. I apologize. And the Cajuns forward just flails his arms. They call it foul. Ormiston didn't do anything. Garnett misses the rim, hits the backboard. The foul, I will say, the referee's got it right, that the foul happened before the shot clock went to 0, and that wasn't necessarily called before it went to 0, but the foul happened technically before it went to 0. There was no foul. All right, he flailed his arms before it went to 0, but it was a lame call because there was no foul. All right, Ormiston was blocking him out. There was no holding. There was nothing. He's boxing him out, and he just flailed his arms. So the Cajuns got away with one. Then they only scored 2 points in overtime, and South Alabama comes away with a rather ugly victory. They need to make some changes. I don't know what it is. Are you just hoping that they make more shots, that they make their free throws? I mean, Miles Corey's got to make some shot. I mean, he went 5 for 10 from the free throw line. You can't go 14 out of 25 from the free throw line and think you're going to win a basketball game. I mean, that's basically they got lucky to win. If you're asking me, South Alabama got lucky to win, and they missed some front ends of one-on-ones. So, you miss 11 free throws, you got lucky. Now, they pulled one out. They did improve to 7-4, so they are tied for third in the Sun Belt. They go to Coastal before they get Akron in the MAC Challenge. So South Alabama's losing streak comes to an end, but they looked a lot like their last 3 ball games. They got a little bit fortunate that, well, the Cajuns aren't very good. Is basically what it is. Although the Cajuns played well in the first half, they could not, hit the broadside of the barn in the second half, much like South Alabama in the first half. All right. Meanwhile, Troy stays hot. This is how I don't understand how South Alabama lost to this team, not once but twice. Troy beat ULM 87-50. Halftime score was Troy 50, ULM 15. ULM scored 15 points in the first half. So we're talking about all those Arkansas State guys who are playing over 35 minutes. Tatum Connerway played the most out of all the Troy starters. He played 26. Miles Rigsby played 24. Thomas Dowd played 21. Jackson Fields played 13. And Marcus Rigsby Jr. played 21. Those were the Troy starters. All right. When you have a 35-point lead, they don't have to play very much. They had 5 guys off of the bench have double digits in minutes played. That's pretty good, right? Marcus Rigsby led the Trojans with 17. Miles Rigsby had 15. Connerway had 11. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys off the bench for Troy scoring points. That's impressive. Mekhi Willis had 15 for ULM. Colty Young stays hot, although just 1 of 7. Could miss against South Alabama. Just 1 of 7 though against Troy. He had 10 points. Troy improves to 8-3. Monroe drops to 2-9. Let's see who Troy has coming up on a Wednesday. They're at James Madison. That's a big ball game. And then they go to Miami of Ohio Saturday afternoon. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up for the rest of the action. The Marshall Thundering Herd get back on track as they come away with a close victory over the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. We will do that after I tell you about FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss. Tails. Always take tails. FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field. And with the app, it's super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's wrap things up, starting with the Marshall Thundering Herd, another workmanlike performance. They can't all be works of art, so to speak. Marshall with a 67-62 win and move on against Coastal Carolina. Give credit to the Chanticleers for putting up a good battle. 30-29 at half, and then 37-33 in the second half. So 67-62 for the Thundering Herd. Denzine Mingo with 18 points, leading the herd. You had Michael Dawson with 15, and Aniki Keelan with 14 points for the herd. Let's see here. Eamon Hauser with 17, along with Battle had 17, and Granger had 13 for Coastal Carolina. So the herd, having their winning streak snapped last time out, they stay in that third place tie. So there's 4 teams, and I'm not going to get into Sunbelt tiebreakers. It makes my head hurt. You guys know this. Those things will play out. We got a full month before those things play out. Plus, Arkansas State's going to play Marshall. Marshall plays South Alabama. Those things will play out. Marshall and South Alabama are both 7-4. So those things will play out before we have to worry about any Sunbelt tiebreakers for seeding purposes. But Marshall and South among the two of the 4 that are tied for third place. Coastal Carolina now bringing up the rear. They're in last with Monroe's 2 wins over South Alabama. Coastal Carolina is 1-10. All right, let's see what else we have. Speaking of teams that seem to be also in that third place spot, James Madison 7-4, 68-54 over Old Dominion. Old Dominion didn't win on the road this time. Let's see here. James Madison, Elijah Hutchins Everett. He had 13 points. Bryce Lindsay actually led the way with 14, 4-9 from 3. For Old Dominion, the usual character, Sean Dura-Gordon, 18 points, actually 8 of 10 from the free throw line. JMU did a good job on Robert Davis Jr., limiting him to just 2 of 7 from 3, 4 of 12 from the field. It's really just those 2 guys are their leading scorers, and not by a little bit. Jaden Johnson, for example, 1 of 9. RJ Blakeney, 1 of 5. Swanton Roger, 0 of 1. All right. So 2 of the starters made 8 field goals. The other 3 starters combined made, 2 out of 15. Right. And so it's really interesting when you see Old Dominion win a ball game and 2 of the guys have like 80% of the points. You would think it would be easier to defend, but it seems not to be the case. So James Madison, another one of those teams that are 7-4, and Old Dominion misses a chance to be 7-4. They drop to 6-5. The final team that is 7-4, App State, actually a pretty good ball game against Georgia State, 80-76. All of a sudden, App State putting up a little bit of points, shooting 51%. And Georgia State shooting 47%. All of a sudden, App State's defense not exactly slowing things down a little bit. Let's see here. Miles Tate, a Miles Tate type game, 25 points, 6 assists. Oddly enough, no rebounds. That's not a Miles Tate game. You did have CJ Huntley because he grabbed all the rebounds. He had 16 points and 14 rebounds. Dior Connors with 18 points, 3 rebounds, and Jaleel Brobron, 12 points and 8 rebounds. And really, the App State, here's the deal there. Their starters are doing all the contributing. 2 points off of the bench for App State, and almost all of the starters played 30. Well, they all played a minimum of 30 minutes. That's going to be an issue. So watch that. Miles Tate played 39 minutes. That's going to be an issue come the Sun Belt tournament, especially if they have to play. If they don't get a top 4 seed, if they got to play more than 3 ball games, that could be tough for App State. For Georgia State, Cesar Edwards had 24 points, and let's see here, Malachi Brown had 15. Tenari Lane had 11. They actually had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in double figures, but Georgia State falls to 4 and 7. App State is 7 and 4. I think we finished them all up, right? I got them all. Oh no, one more. I'm sorry. Southern Miss upends Georgia Southern 72-68. Southern Miss improves to 5 and 6, and Georgia Southern drops to 7-4. Southern Miss had, let's see here, Denaje Harris, 19 points, 6 rebounds, leading the way with 4 Golden Eagles in double figures. And Adante Holyman had 24 points for Georgia Southern. Bradley Douglas, now coming off the bench, he had 10 points for the Eagles. All right, so the Golden Eagles beat the Eagles. All right, checking out the standings one more time. Arkansas State leads the way 9-2. They're in first. They lead Troy by 1 game. I think they play each other one more time. They play each other one more time, February 15th. Arkansas State beat Troy 84-78. That was at Troy. Interesting. So Arkansas State hosts Troy February 15th. Interesting. Okay. So Arkansas State 9-2, Troy 8-3, South Alabama, James Madison, App State, Marshall, all 7-4, Old Dominion 6-5, Texas State, Southern Miss, the Cajuns 5-6, Georgia Southern, Georgia State 4-7, Monroe 2-9, and Coastal Carolina 1-10. We do have the big Marshall Arkansas State ball game coming up, national TV on ESPNU on Wednesday, and then the MAC Challenge is on Saturday. So that's pretty cool. I have today off. Pretty good. I did get the podcast done on Sunday. We enjoy a Monday, and I believe I have Friday off. So we're still trying to get the coaches. I may move on to baseball and get the baseball coaches on. We may be able to get some of those guys on. As the case may be, we'll try to do that. So it is, as they say, as the guy back there said, it is what it is. All right. So good week in Sun Belt basketball. Softball is right around the corner. And of course, we only have a couple weeks until baseball as well, starting to heat up. I actually, a couple weeks ago here, it was frigid in the, we had trouble getting into double digits. It's supposed to be in the high 60s, if not 70s. And then we're going to dip down again and then warm up again. So looking forward to some baseball weather. And, Super Bowl is this weekend coming up, which means it's just not that far away from big league pitchers and catchers reporting. They usually report like the Monday, like the Tuesday, Wednesday after the Super Bowl. So, signing day should be this week as well, right? So we got some stuff going on. We're still rocking and rolling. So looking forward to it. Should be a big week. Of course, we'll preview all of Wednesday's action coming up. We will see if we can reach out to some baseball coaches and see what we can do. All right. Thank you for tuning in. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.